Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Coming back at you with another episode of the Home Turf Sports Podcast. I'm Brian. That's my co-host Devin over there. We're fresh off of a trip to Charlotte to watch the Panthers and Falcons game today. We're gonna get here with our week 4 recap show. Week 3 or week 4?
Week four.
Week 4 recap of our high school football.
Last non-conference week for some teams, but some teams opened up region play.
Yep. So we'll be rolling into most of those scores and get ready to kick off region play for almost everybody this coming week. So I'll pass it over to Devin, and we'll slide right into some of our games from last week, and we'll get right into it.
Welcome in, guys. By the way, we almost to 100 subscribers on YouTube, and we now have the Instagram and Facebook page going. So give us a follow or give us a subscribe. Tell your friends. But man, I ain't gonna lie to you. I seen a lot of L's this weekend. I really hadn't seen a W from any of my teams. Sherrod lost. South Carolina got murdered. Falcons, we was in attendance for that one today. We got stomped. Denny Hamlin finished in the top 10 in the race. Hopefully this week right here changed. How was your weekend, man?
It's about the same, maybe a little better. My Bulldogs did win Friday night, but that was about the end of the winning streak for me. I went on a down skid after that, just like you did.
Yep, but we'll go ahead and knock some scores down, the teams that we covered. Oh, here we go. Marlboro County beat North Myrtle 21-3. River Bluff 67-6-7 to Sherrod's 19. Chesterfield gets beat. McVie gets her first win of the season, 35-14. Central knocks down Blacksburg 40-6. Game I was in attendance for: Dillon 62, Hartsville 35. South Florence 42, Crestwood 0. Lugoff Elgin 13, West Florence 28. Wilson moving on 26, Lakewood 0. Lower Richland 35 at Darlington 12. West Forsyth 30, Richmond 36. Scotland 21, Pinecrest 36. We'll go ahead and get on in it because it's first one on our board. And you was in attendance for us. Tell me what you seen out there Friday night in front of the Bulldogs.
Well, some good, some bad. You can tell Trey Blakeney, he did get the start. Well, he actually didn't get the start. Marlboro, actually, the first couple plays, they come out in the Wildcat. We had Troy Haley in the backfield. But then I guess after the first 2 plays, maybe went from just not negative yards, but very little. Mr. Blakeney came in the game, and he did have a little decent run, but we ended up having to punt. It was a bad punt. I think they called it on about the 40-yard line, and returned it to about maybe the 25 of Marlboro. So they got a great field position to start the game off with. Well, Marlboro defense did hold them to a field goal, and that was pretty much the end of the scoring for the night. So after the first drive of the night for North Myrtle, they very rarely crossed midfield. Maybe a couple times. The Marlboro defense played really well, as they have pretty much all season. I think the only game they really gave up anything was the Gray game, and that was pretty much most of that damage was done in the second half. I just think we let the defense on the field too long that game, but defense has been playing strong. Marlboro's offense, after that first series, they moved the ball pretty well most of the night. They just didn't seem like they could punch it in the end zone. We got down there a couple of times and elected to go for it on 4th down instead of trying to kick a field goal. Sooner or later we're going to have to try to kick a couple just to see where we're at, because the game might come down to that, especially against playoff time. We're playing some good teams and a lot of close games. But I thought overall it was a pretty decent game. Defense really stood out, played great. We gave our defensive player of the game to James McLean, number 8 from Marlboro. Like I said, it was another game, another week with just a different guy stepping up. It just seems like every week there's a different guy. Definitely have not had the same guy for defensive player of the week more than once. So that is a good sign for your defense when you got all kind of different guys flying around to the ball making plays. Offensive player of the week, I think we gave it to Ashford, number 2. He had a really good game, especially receiving. He's really stepping up, taking over the role from Kyle Little since he went out with injury. But overall, I wouldn't say it was their A+ game. I'd probably say it was probably a B game from the offense. Probably I'd say definitely an A game from the defense. They like I said, after the first drive where we put them in a bad spot, they pretty much shut them down, and they didn't give up any more points. So the defense is playing great. Just need to keep that up along with the offense coming along. I will say this: Trey Blakeney, I think it was 11 for 17 passing. That's definitely the most passing attempts we had all season, and he looked really good in the pocket. He stayed in the pocket and made 2 or 3 really good throws. That I haven't seen from him yet. And so if he can keep progressing like that, Marlboro's gonna be really tough.
Yeah, that 3 points. The defense only allowed 3 points. Is it the same defense that played, would you say, last week against Conway? Or would you say it's that first half defense against Sherrod that they played the whole game the other night?
Well, they only gave up 3 last week to Conway as well. Conway's other points come on a block punt, return for a touchdown. So that's 2 weeks in a row only giving up 3 points.
Hey, coach, defense coordinator, you really can't really get too mad about that, man. This high school football too. That's a big thing. You said back to back, giving up 3 points. They go into a bye next week before the region play. So I talked to the guy, wide receivers coach. They said got a little bit of injuries that even I think he said Haley, the running back, had got banged up. So this is probably going to be a big week for them. They can get this off week before they go into on the road to Ainer in region play. So I look for them. He said that they should be 100% going into that game minus the wide receiver that they probably won't get back until right the second or third round of the playoffs if they prevail that long. But hey, man, Marlboro County's putting up some points, and like you said, if you want to go where you want to go and go deep, it can't be the same guys playing and being the role players and being the main guys every week. It's got to be maybe a freshman or a sophomore, underclassman. Hey, man, pull a little bit of weight for my side tonight. I got a strong matchup I'm going against. I mean, we're talking about like ones and ones here. Pull some more weight a little bit. Try to help me out a little bit. I'm going against this guy right here that's probably one of their best guys on their side of the ball, or whatever side of the ball you need help with. But I know those guys are big. How was North Myrtle Beach? How was your offense?
They were decent. They had they played 2 different quarterbacks. The starter was a bigger kid. He was, I think, 6'2", 225. He was a really good runner. Well, I say really good. He wasn't very fast, but he was a tough runner. I mean, he did a lot of quarterback keepers. He just was hard to bring down. He'd be 5 or 6 yards if you ever let him get going. He was hard to stop. They did a lot of short yardage. They just lined him up and kind of like the Eagles do the tush push, just kind of let him just go and kind of drive the pile. Then they also brought a freshman in who looked like he might have been more of the passing quarterback, but he was a smaller kid. He looked like he might have been 5'10", maybe 165, 170. Threw the ball really well. It worked out to where you could kind of, after a few series, you could kind of see where they were going at. So anytime he would come in, we would kind of just blitz or send more pass rushers just to try to get in his face and make him get the ball early. And that seemed to really affect him, especially being a freshman. So, if the bigger quarterback was in, we more stack the box and get ready for the run. You could say our defensive coaches kind of caught on that with making adjustments. But then towards the second half, they did get where they would bring both of them in. So you didn't really know what they were doing. They both be on the field at the same time, but they would just really throw the ball to the bigger guy. And he really had a big drop for him one time. They did cross the midfield and was like they were going to threaten a little bit. Got down to about 35-yard line, and they went for it on 4th and 3. And I think really the ball hit him right in the hands on an out route, and he just flat out dropped it. So that was about the end of that drive. But they were okay. Like I said, it wasn't really wouldn't say they were a great offense, but they did have a couple of explosive plays. It just didn't never seem like they could string anything together consistently, which, I mean, that happens a lot with a defensive front. like Marlboro County's got.
So, while we on that topic, I know I was looking at the score updates you were sending me. Marlboro didn't get those late touchdowns, the 2 last touchdowns, until late in the third and in the fourth quarter. So North Myrtle Beach must have had a pretty decent game plan for at least half the way until maybe it just got unraveled.
Their defense played okay. Like I said, Marlboro moved the ball up and down the field all night. We just would get down around the 25 or 30, and a couple times we went for it on fourth down where you probably should have tried a field goal, or we might have a dumb penalty. Not as bad as it was last week against Conway, but you still had some of those dumb penalties. But I felt really good, about the way they moved the offense. We just, there are these games like that where you just can't seem to punch it in, and luckily we got a couple, in the second half to kind of stretch the game out. But you never really felt threatened like you did against Conway when you only put up one score early, and then it seemed like Conway played on Marlboro's side of the field most of the game last week. But this game was almost totally opposite. After that first drive, North Myrtle really didn't threaten that much. I think our defense had a good scheme against them, but yeah, definitely they're gonna have to be more points scored. But also with our defense, if you could tell me I'm gonna score 21 every week, I'm gonna tell you we're probably gonna have a good chance to win. Before we finish up
this first little segment here of that game, what is the only things you can see them changing, or you want to see something different, or what changes do you think they need to make to have a good chance to win the region going into in 2 weeks?
My biggest deal is I just want you to keep doing what's working. We've definitely we played 5 games, and we've seen them come out in 3 totally different offenses. We've seen them run the weak and T one week. The next week, we've seen them come against Gray and spread out 4 wide, shotgun all night long. And then this week, we come out running the first couple series, running the Wildcat with Troy Hadley. So I like that you're multiple on offense, that you can do different things. But if you find something that's working, just keep doing it. But if it's not working, also I want you to switch. I think we got a little stubborn with the running game against Sherrod, and it almost cost us. Where if you had that spread in your bag, why not bring it out in the second half when Sherrod stacking the box and just trying to stop your run? So I think maybe they learned a little something from that game, because they've been a little multi-dimensional on offense since then. But if I could just say one thing on offense, I just not be willing to try different things if something's not working. I just don't want us to say, hey, this is our offense, and if you stop it, then we're done. I want to see them switch up a little bit, kind of like they did against Sherrod. Against Sherrod, I think we should have switched to try to throw the ball a little bit more, because we only threw 5 passes or something against Sherrod, and then Gray, we threw it off. We lined up in the spread all night long, but yet when they stopped it, we didn't try to go to that wing T offense or anything like that. So I guess that's what non-regions for, kind of learning what you're good at and what you're not, so you're ready for it when you get into region play. But I kind of like that we threw 3 different offenses out there, so when you get in region play, those guys, they got prepared for you might do anything. I kind of like that. So
yeah, only thing, I haven't been to a game yet. I'm hoping to get out and get you theirs in a few weeks when they probably match up with Dillon. But all I can see, man, is I think you're gonna have to rely more on your field goal kicker. Like you're saying, you've been going for it a lot when you get inside the 25 and 20. When you get into the playoffs and you're playing against those good teams, they're gonna have good defenses, man. They're gonna know what they haven't seen a whole season of film on you. I think they're gonna have to rely more on the field goal kicker. That's just one of the things I've heard you talk about, and it just shocks me that they're not trying to give him a little bit more confidence when they got a little lead. Hey, especially if they have like 10 or something. Hey, let's try and see what's his distance. He might know from practice, but has he had a chance to say that's too far for me, coach? Like I'm not really confident in that. Inside the 35, I'm confident in that. But what's your thoughts on with the kicking?
Yeah, I definitely wish they would have trotted him out there for 2 or 3 kicks, especially during non-region play.
Yeah.
And to me, it really didn't matter whether he made them or not. I just wanted, like you said, to see which hash he likes to kick off of. Like you said, what's his distance, his max distance.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to try those things in game situations just to see where you're at. And like I said, you might not necessarily need them. And it's demoralizing. What if you have a 7, 8, 10 play drive and you get down to about the 15-yard line, you go for it on 4th and 5 and you don't get it?
That's a whole drive.
Yeah, that's a backbreaker to your offense where at least if you kick it, you get 3 points, maybe.
You lead a fight on the day, you kick it off again,
right.
They might fumble the kickoff.
You put some points on the board, so it doesn't seem worthless. But yeah, that's definitely something I would have liked to see him do during region play. Try a couple field goals, like I said, just to see where he's comfortable at. And hey, your long snapper, you don't even know what you got with him. I mean, we haven't tried anything other than extra points.
Well, is that about the only thing, everything you got for that game? Or?
Yeah, we'll move on. I probably could talk about that all night. But
so what's your main goal for them to get out of region play? What you looking at them wind up season wise?
I think that you definitely got to split the Loris and Dillon games.
I got us a topic to get to. We can cut through these games real quick.
I think the other 3, pretty much, if you go out and you just show up and play solid, I think you should win the other 3, Ainer, Georgetown, and Waccamaw. I'm not saying that you don't have to play well at all, but if you just do what you do and the defense keeps playing what they're doing, you should win those games. But I think the Dillon and Loris game is definitely, you like to win both of them, honestly, but I mean, for sure you need to split.
All right. Well, Marlboro handles business 21-3 at home against North Myrtle. They have a bye week before they go to Ainer for their first region contest. Sherrod went on the road to River Bluff and took a big L, 67-19. I was trying to send you scores throughout this one with the game I was at, but early on, man, they got a pick on the first drive, River Bluff's first drive. They capped it off. They only got 3 out of it. Then the next drive for River Bluff, they threw an interception. Ant Strong had got him a touchdown. It was 9-0 in a matter of that. Then it went to 9-7. Then I think it went to 14-9, and then 14-11. Then it was 24-11 or 12 or something like that in the third quarter. I know a few guys got banged up, so they said, "Hey, let's get the starters out." I mean, it was starting to get bad out there. 3 or 4 guys, starters had went banged up, and they start region play next week. So they took the starters out. River Bluff leaves theirs in. It's homecoming, and you look at the scoreboard at 20 minutes later, and you're looking at a 60 ball on your head in Columbia. But those guys, they get their running back this week. They get their starting linebacker back this week. I think those guys will be our region play. I credit them for playing a hard non-conference schedule, especially with River Bluff and you guys. And some of the other teams they played is pretty good in the Speedy area for the most part on most years. But Nick, they said Nick had a good game. Defense played pretty good for 3 quarters, really, until that 4th quarter. I don't know if you really blame that on the 2s and 3s, but I hope that they can get their offense and their running game going for the region play.
Yeah, if I'm full, I mean, I'm pretty much, the score don't look like it, but I'm fairly happy with the result. When you had your main guys out there, it was a pretty tight ball game. I mean, probably if you ask anybody, they're 100% honest with you. Nobody, coaches, players, you might have 1 or 2 tell you, but they're probably lying. Nobody expect to go in there and win that game against River Bluff. They just wanted to be competitive, not get blown out, which you did in the end. But I don't think you get blown out if you leave your guys. If everybody
said it was 30-19 or something like that.
Yeah, I mean that's still a 2-score game. I mean that's 11 points. That's a field goal, touchdown, 2 points. That's 2-score game still at that point. I mean, and really honestly, that's about what you can ask for playing a 5A school. And not just a bad 5A school. You played a 5A school that's usually pretty good. So, if I'm Pope, I'm fairly happy with the result. I don't like the final score, but when you look at the film, I think that game's going to look a lot closer on film than it did than it did just somebody looking at the final score. I think it kind of got away from them late, but that's okay. I mean, you guys went out there, they competed. I think they'll be better for it in the end.
Yeah, the biggest thing was they got a few. They wanted to come out that game injury free. That was the biggest topic on hand that they wanted. That's what they wanted to win. The injuries. They didn't want to come back with injuries, but some injuries that they have was this nagging injuries that just this is going to happen. But they get everybody back this week. The good thing about it is going forward, everybody's 0-0 going into region play.
If I'm pulled, the only thing that I maybe do different is play that game earlier in the year instead of right before because your
confident morale.
Well, no, your first region game is really your biggest game of the year.
Yeah.
If you happen to what if Nick would have sprained an ankle against River Bluff?
Yeah.
He's got to come right back next week and play your biggest region game of the year. Where if you play that game first and then play McVie this past week or somebody of a lesser opponent, even if somebody gets hurt in that first game, they got 4 weeks to kind of recover before you go into region play. That's probably the only thing I do differently.
Well, it's really hard to try to schedule.
But it is. Look, and usually the schedules are made a couple years out, so you don't know 3 years ago how good Peyton's going to be.
You don't even know who's on your team.
Yeah. So So
this you got. What's your last thoughts on that game for you?
I was just going to say, anybody can second guess, but if perfect world, that's the only thing I can do different. I don't think he did anything wrong or anything. I mean, that's good to go play a team like that just to kind of gauge where you're at. But we'll get those guys ready to go this week as long as they don't even anything major.
You done seen them on hand in person. What's your one thing you think they need to do to try to going forward, change up and go undefeated throughout the region?
I think I said it last week. They got to find a second playmaker. I know you said they get the running back this week.
Man, I look at this. The reason I say the running back,
he's got to come out the gates hot, though. I mean, he can't say we can't use the excuse. I mean, even though it is an excuse, you can't say he ain't played in 3 or 4 weeks.
Right.
He's got to come out hot because like I was just saying, your first region game is probably the biggest one. You got to get that one because if y'all don't beat them, I don't see anybody else in your region beating Payson right now. So
no, I don't.
This is really for the region championship. Technically it's not.
This one's got implications, big implications.
But you've got to find a second playmaker. I've been saying it for 2 or 3 weeks now. Sherrall's got to find a second guy because if I'm Payson, I'm doubling, even tripling Nick if I got to. Your best player is not beating me.
No.
And right now nobody else on that team scares me.
Especially if you're one-dimensional.
Yeah, nobody else on that team scares me. Yeah.
Right.
Poole probably don't want to hear that, but I watched him play.
Yeah.
And
he knows.
Nobody else on their offense scares me.
Yeah.
Besides Nick. So if I'm Payson, I'm taking him out of the ballgame. There's no way I'm letting your best player beat me. You might beat me, but it's going to be with somebody else, or you're going to out-coach me or something, but it's not going to be your best player.
What I think they need to do is get they already had time to do it. Get up. This key every time. Just give confidence to your line, your offensive line, man. They got to hold up. That's the biggest thing they got to hold up. And they've been passing the ball a lot. I think you said KT had a good night throwing the ball tonight. I wouldn't mind what they do with Lenore's. Take them early little check downs early. There's little swing passes. Get our confidence going. Try to mix in a few runs in here. And hey, somebody might be tired on that weak side. Throw a bomb out to Nick. I mean, you never know. Or just switch up something,
I was just about to say the same thing. Not for tech, but I just think it's big for your running back game. I think we not just run him up the middle to begin with. Throw some little swing passes or some little screen passes, just to kind of get him in a rhythm.
Yeah.
And then not only does that get him back going, but it'll slow down a pass rush. If you're throwing those little quick screens or swings, they can't just bring everybody and rush up the field at KT. That's going to be big for him. Then like you said, it probably will open up something downfield. It's you're gonna have to get him and your running back involved early in the game just to kind of get him back in game shape because you can practice how you want to. There's nothing like the adrenaline rush and being in a game situation. It wears you down a whole lot more. You can run all day at practice, but the adrenaline and stuff it'll cause you to drain you more in the game than it will just at practice. He got to get involved early just to kind of get back in game shape per se.
Yeah, he said that he thought he could have played the other night. Running back, you said, but I think that it was his best to really.
Yeah, that'd have been a bad game to bring him back.
That really would have killed your confidence.
Because what if he goes out there and rolls his ankle or just steps on somebody's foot? I mean,
yeah.
Then all those past few weeks is for nothing. All that rest.
Yep.
That was probably the smartest thing Poole could have did. Is just I wouldn't even let him wear his jersey to the game.
Well, guys, I'd have capped that one off. River Bluff wins 67-19 at home. I think it was their homecoming, so they ran a score for the fans. But this game right here, Matt B 35 and Chesterfield 14. I think this might have been one of the biggest upsets in the state if we were being a bet man.
I agree 100%. I don't think anybody seen this one coming. I know you were picking and playing the other night, so give me Mac B for the upset. But
I can see it, man. I told you.
You couldn't see it. You were just saying that to get everybody excited.
But look, the pressure was on Chesterfield. I mean, I even got word on Saturday. Mac B dressed out 18 players. You know what I'm saying?
That makes it even worse.
That makes a loss for Chesterfield even worse. I don't know what happened to them because
did they have a bunch of turnovers? Something had to have happened because
I haven't heard nothing on
Mac B showed no signs of any kind of offense leading up to this game, and then they put up 35 points. So
at your place,
they had to get some short fields or get some defensive touchdowns or something in the special teams. Something had to happen because I know that they just didn't line up and drive 75, 80 yards
every time
and score a touchdown.
If somebody's listening to the chat, can y'all give us some rundown of the Mac B game?
Somebody let us know what happened. If not, I'm going to make some phone calls.
Yeah, we'll have it for you.
Yeah, I'm just very interested to see if they got some short fields or if they got a special teams touchdown. Something happened because if they didn't, now like I said,
that's where they scored some points though.
Yeah,
they confidence, but Beeford ain't good. Was it the turf?
I don't know who's calling the plays, but they sent him down there to Columbia.
Yeah,
see if he can help us out a little bit.
It must be the offensive line coach too, because but look, Nick Dixon, Chesterfield's coached Mac B before. What do you think their coach was telling their guys going into that game?
Man, if I'm thinking that gives Chesterfield an advantage, But Mac B may have a chip on his shoulder, like, look, we're gonna show you should have stayed. Or
in-town matchup.
Yeah, county rivalry. I'm not ever gonna say a loss is a good thing, but
this ain't a good loss.
No, not at all. But it may be an eye opener for Chesterfield. Like, look, so you're not good enough yet to not play your best game and win. We need to come out and play hard every week. So I think they were kind of feeling themselves a little bit. They had got on a little roll. Mac B's up, they ain't won a game, and you look up in the third quarter and you're down by 2 touchdowns, and it's too late. So this could end up being good for the team. I'm not saying it's a good loss, but it could end up being good for them to make them realize, hey, we got to come out and play to the best of our abilities, from the get-go against anybody, not just good teams. We're not good enough to have a letdown against anybody.
Well, we'll cap that one off. Mac B goes on the road to Chesterfield and wins 35-14. I think they was getting points on the spread for sure, and they covered. So Vegas looks pretty good on that one. Mac B will have a tough matchup, if I looked at it right, going into region play this week. They go to Lamar, or Lamar coming in. Lamar beat North Central by 47-0 the other night. You talked to that guy at Columbia, and he said that Lamar playing Central was probably the best defense they would see all season on their schedule.
He felt like they probably wouldn't lose another game in the regular season. He said just Baseline was really, really good. So, so far, it looks like his word's coming true.
Yep. Speaking of Paisley wins 40-6. They went on the road to Blacksburg. I ain't really got no intel on that game, but I know Paisley's pretty good. Got a good offense and good defensive players, but they're pretty junior and senior heavy. So they're gonna have a big contest with Sherrod coming to town this week. So I think it's really at the end of the game. At the end of the day, it's probably gonna be their offense versus Sherrod's defense. That's who comes out on top. Man, I was at this game right here. Hartsville went to Dillon. Dillon puts up 62 points. Hartsville only manages to put up 35. Man, this was a different Hartsville team that I've seen in quite some time. But like you said, for even last Thursday, we both thought this would be a high-scoring affair with no defense. And really, man, for the most part, that's really all this game was.
Yeah, first off, having some technical difficulties over here. I hope that it's still recording because my computer just decided it wanted to restart by itself.
I believe it still is.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
we'll keep going. Anyway, like I said, I didn't expect Hartsville to be able to stop Dillon's offense, and that's what I was telling you. They haven't stopped any offenses pretty much all year, especially any that's had a couple of D1 players, on it. So I knew that Zay Robertson and Khalil Sam Fong would have a big night. I knew they would have a big night, and if they could get anything from anybody else, it was just a bonus. But I'm interested in you telling me more about how does Dillon's defense look? Are they big? Are they fast? Or
Man,
what's the best thing to do against a defense like Dillon?
I was talking to one guy that coaches on y'all's staff. I told him that they're weak in the secondary. Like if you can throw the balls deep at them, like you say, y'all been trying to get started. Their defense secondary, like the safeties and stuff, it's shaky.
How was their defensive front? Did Hartsville were their offense?
They couldn't really run the ball like that.
So how about in the passing game? Could Hartsville, the offensive line, were they holding up against Dillon's rush, or was Dillon getting in the backfield a lot?
And Dillon was really getting in the backfield a lot. He wasn't really having time to throw the ball. Like the 3 of the 5 touchdowns they had was snap it deep, 50-50 balls. Like the first touchdown they caught was like a 6-yard bomb, and it was on like 3rd and 12. And I mean, dude just mossed them.
So did Hartsville try any screens or anything?
They ran a lot.
Like
I'm gonna get into this. Let's see if the YouTube will stay going while I have some of my notes. Let's see. Okay, let's see. First of all, Dillon's quarterback, Kel Talia. Hey, he's also a kicker. He's also the kicker.
Is he?
Yeah.
He kicks extra points and field goals?
That's one thing they do need. They need an extra point kicker. But he's the kickoff. He had 4 touchdowns. He probably went over 350. I don't know his final stat line. This is some key. I got different sections I had in this game. This was some key playmakers I just marked down for Dillon. Wide receiver, like you said, Zamarius Robertson, number 0, had a big game. Number 44 on defense, Jalen Baycott, pretty good. Number 7, he's an end, and he plays outside linebacker. Daniel Capehart, linebacker / and he runs the ball. He's like their second down running back. And Dillon's running back was pretty good. Dominique Felton. He had this game. This was Hartsville's some players I had. Quarterback's pretty good. He had 2 passing touchdowns. Their backup came in like midway through the 3rd. Zay had 1, 2. He had 2 touchdowns. He had a 58-yarder and a 56-yarder. And he had a bunch of catches. So, I mean, he probably went for at least 170. Daniel Capehart had a Wildcat. They went with some in the Wildcat with him. Hartsville had 2 touchdowns on a ton of screens. They had a good outside receiver, and Tristan Spahn was pretty good. Their running back was a small running back. I think Khalil Miller. He's pretty good. But here's some other key players I have for Hartsville. Number 11 on defense, Chris Price is pretty good. Wide receiver Dorian Mason, pretty good sized kid. Devarius James is pretty good. And that wide receiver number 4, their main guy on the offensive side, Tristan Spahn. Really all I have in that game, but it was a pretty good atmosphere. Man, I really thought it must be like if you win and like people come out to the games. Hartsville didn't really travel well at all. That was kind of a shocker. Maybe 100 fans over there. It was not filled at all. that was really shocking to me. Well, Dylan's side, I mean, it was probably 80% full. I mean, there was a lot of room where I was sitting at. Didn't get to talk to the coach because of some security people, but that's another topic for another day. But I seen some good things from Dylan. I think it's gonna be a competitive game whenever y'all play them. That probably will be our game of the week when that comes, because I really want to be in attendance for that one. I look for that game to probably be maybe both teams in the 20s or 30s on offense. But the quarterback, man, he's as advertised. He can run it. I mean, he act like he's about to get out of bounds, and he flipped a 60-yard bomb down there, act like he was about to get out of bounds. So the guy rushing at him stopped a little bit. He thought he was gonna go out of bounds. He flips it down there, wide open. He keeps it a little bit. He don't really run that much, but he missed 2 or 3 passes that people were open that he just short on, or he let it go too late. I mean, he is only a freshman, man. A lot of Dylan fans, they was like, oh, he's open over there, or he should have hit that guy. I mean, guys, you got him for 3 more years. He's only played 3 or 4 games. It ain't like he's an upperclassman. But I look for him to get way better and probably get some more big time offers by the time he leaves Dylan.
Do you think? How do you think Dylan's offensive line holds up, and how do you think they'll hold up against the front of that Marvel's got, like a big front that really gets out to the quarterback?
It's according on which offensive line I've seen play for Marlboro. The first half offensive line or the second half offensive line against when they play Sherrod. I like both of their defenses. I think y'all get more pressure rushing less guys. They like to stack the box a little bit more and play the linebackers in. But they was catering to what Hartsville ran.
So do you think that plays in Marlboro's favor on defense, that they can get pressure with 3 or 4 and be able to play back?
See, if I was a DC for Marlboro County, I would rush your 3, because the 3 I seen play against Sherrod in 11 and 10 and whatever the other guys 52. Those guys get pressure. And if you can get pressure with those 3 guys and have everybody else drop back in coverage, and because you're going to have to double team 0.
Right.
You cannot. I don't care. There is no play anytime in that game. I don't care. No matter the score. Nobody's going to line up with that guy 1-on-1. When 10 yards, somebody's going to have to be. There's going to have to be 2. Whatever jerseys y'all wearing that night, there's going to have to be 2 of them near him. Because when I see him, he can jab you off the line. And when he runs his routes, man, I've seen him run a lot of posts and slants. When he catches that ball, he can put his foot in the ground and he can cut back to the opposite side of the field and go the distance.
How tall is he?
Man.
6'2", maybe.
Yeah, probably 6'1", 6'2". Probably 6'2" on most days. Ain't really that. I think he's got the wide receiver style. I say that. Which they have a few other guys that's decent around him. Like, if this was Sherrod's wide receivers, like if they say that guy's Nick with his size, and they had a little side pieces to go with Nick, they could be totally different.
Right.
Like if they had that same wide receivers, it'd be totally different for them. But they pretty good, man. I don't see how they lost to Wilson. I'll put it that way. I guess it just might have been an off night. Monday games, I've never been in for a Monday game, so we don't know how they go. There probably nobody there, and it was Wilson. So,
well, like you said though, that Wilson threw a lot of deep jump balls and won though. So if
that's what I'm saying. Remember, we saw that video of that dude mossing that guy in the triple coverage.
Yeah,
that's the same type of thing. That those guys, the same people getting mossed on those 50-50 balls that they threw down there. I don't see Hartsville making. Are they in the South Florence Conference with South Florence and Lakewood, Crestwood, and they ain't gonna beat South Florence. Is your computer back up?
It's trying to come back up.
If there's, I don't know. I see them maybe finishing third in that region. If so, but it was a pretty good game, man. For the most part, I like what some players on both teams did.
Computer back up. It's trying to come back up.
Is it working now?
Yeah.
Okay. His computer about crashed out. But overall, man, Dylan is advertised. I mean, he put up 62 points. I mean, that was with the starters in the whole time. They never let off. I mean, I guess they took that L to Wilson, and they scored 61 last week in Marion. They scored 62 this week against a Hartsville team. I think they do. I don't know if they got a bye next week or if they open up region play. I ain't real sure. But if you ain't got nothing else off that game, you have any more questions about it?
No, that's all. I was really wanting to know how you thought that their offensive line would compare.
They didn't really have no guys like. They didn't really have no big guys like when Josiah Thompson was there.
Right.
But I mean,
But they held up pretty well. Hartsville didn't get much pressure.
They didn't sack him maybe once or twice.
Okay.
And he throws it away if he's got to.
I'm thinking maybe they haven't saw a defensive front like Marlboro.
Maybe they haven't. That might be one good thing about that. Might be a bonus for
I
it.
know how good Scotland's defensive line is, or Wilson's. Wilson didn't look overly big when I watched some of the live, but Marlboro's got some big guys up there, man, and they can really move, you know. But anyway, we'll see where we go here in a couple weeks, but we'll move on.
South Florence 42, Crestwood 0. Man, I think that one was over really from the start. Crestwood's only really been down at football. They had a few good years a few years ago in basketball, but ever since that loss to Northwestern last week, I don't know. I mean, they're making a big turnaround.
Yeah, I think really the whole city of Florence, man, they really put on a show this week. All three schools.
They all won. That is right.
Yeah, but I just I knew that this game was going to be a massacre. I knew there really wouldn't be a whole lot of conversation to be had about this game. It was going to be, another blowout win for South Florence and move on to the next game. But that's kind of I guess that's a tune-up for them going in. Was that a region game? Crestwood?
I believe that was a region game.
I think
I ain't sure. I don't know if Crestwood went up. I think South Florence stayed 4A though, right?
Maybe.
I think they in the conference with South Florence, Crestwood, Lakewood, Hartsville, and Darlington.
Okay.
I think that is that conference. That is that new realignment that they did. Well, we'll slide on over to the West Florence, 28, Lugolf Elgin 13. You took West in this, and I took Lugolf Elgin, which was surprising about what Lugolf Elgin has previously done in the past few weeks.
Yeah, I just took West because I thought that they had played a really tough schedule.
Oh, that's true.
And I thought they would be better for it, and they had really put up some points. Even they started off a really good game against South. Then they lost to Myrtle, but they still put up 38 points. I just felt like they could score on Lugolf Elgin. Just seeing Lugolf Elgin play Darlington last week, right?
Yeah. And
I just felt like West Florence would be better for playing the competition they had played early on in the season. I knew they were still a really decent team, and they're not a bad team, not a great team, but I thought they're pretty good still. So that's pretty much where my head was at picking them. But I think they're going to be tough. A tough out. I'm not saying they're going to win the region or maybe not even make the playoffs, but they're going to make somebody's life hard in that region. They're going to make you play a tough 4-quarter game, and you're going to really have to earn a victory against those guys because they play hard and play tough, and that's the Sherrod guy over there coaching that team, right?
Yeah, but speaking of that region, West Florence actually is in 5A.
Yeah, they are.
They are in the conference with Blackwood. Yeah, I know from the baseball standpoint, that's a hard conference.
It is, but this ain't baseball yet. But
no.
Like I said, I'm not saying they're gonna win the region, but they're gonna be a tough out. They're gonna make somebody. You're gonna have to play a 4-quarter game. It ain't gonna be a game where you can get your starters out early. So you better be prepared for a 4-quarter fight against West.
I think West Florida's defense played pretty good in this game too. I think I seen where on the highlights where I think they maybe had one or two pick sixes in this game. But what about Wilson and South Lawrence shutting out both soccer teams? Wilson beat Lakewood 26-0.
Yeah, I mean, I pretty much called that one too. I didn't think Lakewood would have anything for Wilson. Usually over there it's something in football is something, and then Crestwood and Lakewood just whatever. Crestwood has been decent the past couple of years, but mostly history. Neither one of those teams have been really big football schools. Wilson showed. They showed me something this year, and I told you from here on out, unless they're playing a juggernaut, I'm gonna roll with Wilson. So they've impressed me, and I kind of figured they'd beat Lakewood. I didn't think Lakewood had a whole lot going for them, man, and I don't look for Lakewood to even make the playoffs this year.
I believe I was just thinking Wilson's in that conference with South, and so I think this was a bridging game for them. But we in this next one, we both took Darlington, man. Lower Richland went in there and won 35-12, which I heard on the same radio station you heard that was some guy from the upstate. He said it was his game of the week.
Game of the week with him. Yeah, he thought that would be a really good game.
Which we don't really know about Lower Richland too much, but I seen Darlington play last week, and I didn't think their defense was that bad. So they must have some miscues. We didn't have a good game plan for Lower Richland's offense. I'm not really too sure about Lower Richland. I don't know what offensive scheme they run or what they had going for them, but hey, they went into Darlington on homecoming night and said, hey, they can be worried about homecoming. Who's having what party after this or what's going on?
Yeah, like I told you, my coaches always hated homecoming week. It didn't matter if the team you were playing hadn't won a game or hadn't even scored a point all year. They hated homecoming because kids, teenagers, their head, 90% of them head not being a ball game. You might have a few special kids that they ready to roll, but most kids they're not ready. They're not ready homecoming week. They're thinking about, like you said, the after party, what girl they're escorting at halftime for homecoming, everything in the world about except the football game. So that's just a tough week to play, man. And if you're playing a decent team, it's gonna be tough for you to win.
Well, yeah, that's gonna be that's another L in Jamie Johnson's book for Darlington. He's gonna have to get back at practice on Monday and change up and see where they went wrong. Look at the film and see what they need to do for this Friday night going into region play. But that really covers all the PD area teams that we covered. You took West Forsyth in this game. I took Richmond. Richmond comes back and wins this game 36-30. And I had a thing I wanted to show you. Read to you. I had saved. It says West Forsyth had over 475 yards of total offense. Richmond had 277. We often see teams accumulate yards between the 20s, but struggle once the field gets short. Richmond gives up nearly 500 yards. May not sound like a great defensive performance, but the rate defense did what it needed to do when it mattered, and limited West Forsyth twice in the second half red zone possession, just 3 points, and ending West Forsyth's final 2 possessions on their own side of the field. Man, that's a big thing, man. That's a big halftime adjustment for the defense.
Yeah, I'm really not surprised for Richmond. That they can win big games like this, but I really thought West Forsyth would pull this game out. And what they come down to really a late fumble recovery or something for Richmond to win the game. So, kudos to Richmond. That they're, like I said, they're a local team. Glad they got a win. We got to pick with our head here and what we really feel, give our true opinions. Be honest with you, I just didn't think Richmond had it in them. But here you go, they get a big win going into they start their conference play this week too.
I'm not sure with North Carolina. Maybe I believe this week or next week, or this coming week or the following week. It's this is really the halfway point of the season, though, ain't it?
Yeah.
This is a halfway break, so it's time for maybe some teams and all around here. They may need a reality check, man.
Hey, Richmond. Hey, they pulled out a big win.
Yeah.
Maybe it pointing them in the right direction. So what's their record now? 3-2. I think they're 3-2.
Yeah.
So because I think they lost to Hoggard and Roseville, right?
Yeah.
So that'll make them 3-2. So good win for those guys and just stay above 500.
Well, we both took Scotland this game. Scotland 21 at Pinecrest 36. What you the fighting Cody Smiths prevailing this one?
Man, Scotland has a game like this every year where they come out and be flat in a game you expect them to win and they find a way to lose. Like I said, I didn't get no insider information on this game, but I had just been reading up a little bit on Pinecrest. They were coming off of a pretty much a blowout loss previous week, so I really thought Scotland would go in there and pretty much hit them in the mouth and have their way with them, but it didn't work out like that. Like I said, kudos to Pinecrest. They're move on to 4-1 now. I think Scotland falls to 3-2 as well. We'll just see if Coach Bailey got to get them guys good pep talk, get them fired up, and let that one go. I think that game was pretty tight early.
Yeah, I think it was, man. But I look for Scotland to try to get back in the win column this week because I know that Coach probably ain't too happy. But man, that'll probably do it for our Week 4 recap show. We'll be back with you guys this Thursday night to make some region picks and tell you about our game of the week and our upcoming week of high school football, Week 5. Thank you, guys.